everybody, and welcome to Final Play Sports Wrap. I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and today we're talking Big 12 wrap-up. Week 5 is in the books. The week started in an inauspicious way for one Mike Gundy, who vowed to stay on at OSU and rebuild the Cowboys. His comments didn't age well. On Tuesday, Gundy was fired by A.D. Weiberg, the exact anniversary of his "I'm the man, I can take it" rant. Iowa State and Arizona State moved to the top of the conference standings with 2-0 records. Several other teams are 1-0. ASU beat previously unbeaten TCU in Tempe on Friday, 27-24. TCU jumped out to a 14-point lead in the second period before ASU closed the gap to 17-14. At halftime, TCU's Josh Hoover threw an interception on the first possession after the half, which allowed ASU to tie the game on a field goal. He then led TCU on an 8-play, 65-yard drive to retake the lead by 7. But in the fourth period, Sam Levitt directed a 74-yard drive culminating in a 4-yard TD pass. With a minute 50 left to go in the game, TCU fumbled on their next possession. ASU recovered deep in TCU territory, was able to make a field goal for the win. Passing stats were pretty similar, but TCU was only able to garner 10 yards on the ground in 25 carries, a whopping less than 0.5 a yard carry. That's just not good enough. So TCU gets beat. TCU also had 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble, which hurt their cause. Arizona had 13 tackles for losses. TCU had 8 penalties for 72 yards. So I've talked about this a bunch of times. If you have the most turnovers and you have the most tackles for losses, and then you also have the most penalties, it's really hard to win, and it didn't work out for TCU this week. The other game Friday had Houston traveling to Pac 8.5 member Oregon State, who started the game winless this year and left the game winless still. While Houston didn't dominate like I thought they would, they did enough to win 27-24 in overtime. Connor Wigman was 20 for 36 for 270 yards, 2 TDs and a pick. Oregon State was their own worst enemy, missing 2 field goals, 1 in each half. When you lose by 3 and you miss 2 field goals, that is a recipe for disaster. And sure enough, Oregon State lost again. So they're 0-4, I believe, on the season. Arizona traveled to Iowa State. Apparently, the bye week was good for Iowa State as they trounced Arizona 39-14. Stat-wise, this game was really close. If you look at total yards, passing yards, running yards, time of possession, all quite close. But ISU got up 22-0 early on an interception off Fafita, and they just really never looked back. BYU survived a game effort from CU in Boulder, 24-21. CU led 14-0 in the first quarter, but BYU slowly chipped away, taking a lead in the fourth quarter. Caden Salter did get the start, as we talked about last week, for the Buffaloes, and threw for 119 yards and 11 for 16, 1 TD and 1 interception. Bear Bachmeier for BYU was more efficient, 19 of 27, 179 yards and 2 TDs. In the sort of surprise of the day, at least surprise to me, Cincinnati went to Lawrence and beat the Jayhawks 37-34. This was a really good game. It was a back and forth affair all afternoon. It could have gone either way. Jalen Daniels, who otherwise had a great game, fumbled deep in Bearcat territory with 10 minutes or 12 minutes to go. And while it didn't cost the Jayhawks any points directly, it did take points away at a critical juncture. They were going to get at least 3 points and probably 7. They were at the 4-yard line, and then after a penalty back to the 7. Jalen Daniels was 19 of 48 for 445 yards and 4 TDs. Brendan Sorsby for Cincinnati was 29-42 for 388 yards and 2 TDs. So excellent win for Cincinnati. Looks like they're off to a really good start for this season, and a little bit surprised by that, but got that win, and not a great win, not a great loss for Kansas. The defense really didn't do their job like they should have. Central Florida, who was undefeated, traveled to K-State. And the Wildcats beat the Knights handily, 34-20. Running back Dylan Edwards had a great day for K-State. He ran for 166 yards and a TD on 20 carries. KSU got up 17-7 in the first half and then scored the first TD of the second half to sort of pull away from UCF, which has lost their first game of the year. Baylor routed Oklahoma State 45-27, though they did not cover the 20.5 point spread, much to my chagrin. Sawyer Robinson for Baylor was 24 of 35 for 393 yards and 4 TDs. Finally, Utah traveled to West Virginia, and they took care of business, beating the Mountaineers 48-14. Dampier for Utah was 21 of 26 for 237 yards and 4 TDs. He had another 33 yards and 1 TD on the ground. Utah was up 28-0 at the half, and Mountaineers had just 85 yards passing for the game and were outgained 532-346, 33 first downs to 14, and 6 penalties for 70 yards. So, seems like West Virginia is up and down. I don't think they're going to beat any of the better teams in the Big 12 this season, even though they have some of those at home. So, we're going to look ahead at this week's schedule. West Virginia does travel to BYU, and BYU is a 19.5 favorite. I would take BYU and give the points. Iowa State travels to Cincinnati. Iowa State is 5-0. Cincinnati 3-1. Cincinnati is a 1.5 point home dog, but I do like Iowa State in this game, so I would take Iowa State and give the 1.5. K-State is 2-3. They're at Baylor 3-2. Baylor's a 6.5 point favorite at home. I think this game might be tighter than that. I might take K-State and take the points. Oklahoma State 1-3 now travels to Arizona, who is 3-1, I believe, and Arizona is an 18.5 point favorite. Until Oklahoma shows they can stop someone, I would take Arizona and the points. Texas Tech, number 11, 4-0, is playing at Houston 4-0. Houston is a 10.5 point dog at home. I do like Texas Tech in this game. CU's at 2-3, traveling to TCU 3-1. TCU is a 14.5 point favorite at home. I would take TCU and give the points. And Kansas at 3-2 now is heading to UCF, and they are a 3.5 point dog at UCF. Oh boy. I mean, if Jalen Daniels played like he did last week, Kansas is going to be able to stay with UCF. It wouldn't surprise me if Kansas won this game. And that's it. From a bye week standpoint this week, Utah's on bye and Arizona State is on bye. So that's it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please subscribe to my YouTube page. It costs you nothing, but it helps me out. And I'm trying to get up to a new record this week. So everyone who could subscribe, I'd certainly appreciate you. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.